Good morning. This is your Chill and Heal
Good morning,
show.
everybody.
Good morning. And I'm your host, and I'm here to fuel your mind, body, and soul with goodness. We will connect, open up, share, be real, be raw, overcome, let go, learn, and grow together to simply live a happy life. And sharing is caring, and remember, we are not alone. And Chill Girl Chrissy and Alderman Cantor in Ward 6. And I am so excited because Ken and I we became friends, like
Couple of years ago.
Couple of years ago.
Yep.
And this is
Knocking on doors.
Knocking on
Doing
doors.
campaign stuff.
Yes, and my dear friend Ken Tassey, and he is school board, Ward 6. So we've been a team in Ward 6 for Manchester.
For about another month.
Yes, but so our segment on here is about courage to stand up, speak up, and take action. And the reason I said that, we always just kind of go with the flow on this show, but I was thinking about this is you were in Wyndham taking action for voter integrity back in, was it 2021?
Early 2021, yep.
Okay. And I was there as well, but I was in the background just observing. And then somehow we met but I knew you before that because you put a sign on my lawn, right?
Well, I think that was in March or May of 2021. And I was pretty much a freshman in that whole scene. Someone had just recommended that I go to the Wyndham High School for a Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we found out, much later, probably this year sometime, that we were both at that event.
Yes.
And it was probably in July or August of 2021 when I started a campaign for school board that I knocked on your door and you let me put a sign on your business. And then we didn't really, connect again until we started doing this campaign, like probably in spring or summer of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've become good friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's a pretty unreal because your children went to my mom and stepfather's school. That's what we found out along the way, and caused your wife. So you were friends with my parents.
When we started chatting about kind of like, you've been in Manchester forever and ever.
Yes.
Your dad ran a business here, so your family's been here for generations.
Very rooted in Manchester.
We've been here for about 26 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In Manchester, raised all of our kids here, put them all through Manchester public schools, or all, and all that. But we put our two oldest kids into Taekwondo when they were
Lee's
probably
martial arts.
8 or 7, 8, 9 years old or something like that. And then I learned that Linda's your mom, and
Yep.
your mom is the super mom who drove all over Manchester all day, every day, getting kids who didn't have rides to come practice their
After school program.
kata. Well, kata is Japanese. I don't remember how
Okay.
you say that in Korean, but
I'm not
to
sure.
practice their taekwondo at
Lee's
Master
martial arts.
Lee's
Yeah.
martial arts,
Master Lee.
which was when it was on the corner of Elm and I can't remember, but
Yes.
yeah.
That big,
so we
beautiful
were there.
building.
Yeah, we were there all the time. One funny little thing is Master Lee kind of like spilled the Santa Claus thing to my kids, I think. Like, like, all right, Master Lee, what are you talking about, dude? So I love him, and it was so great to connect to them again when they came to help your campaign, a few months ago.
Yeah.
So, and then I learned a lot even more about your mom, what an amazing person she is.
Thank you.
But back then,
Yeah.
and raising you and
my brother,
doing real
and
estate
my sister. Yes, real estate
and all that stuff. She's really very impressive,
Thank you.
big-hearted person. Your mom is.
Yeah, she's big-hearted, worker bee, and always doing what's right. And I'm so grateful. I just had the best parents.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So on your theme.
Yes, on
today,
our theme.
Before if you wanted to talk about Wyndham and everything that
Well,
after
let's talk about the real estate and who you are. And I mean, because I was a newbie to all of this.
Sure.
I woke up in 2020. I'm not embarrassed to say that. April of 2020.
Not woke, but awakened.
I've awakened.
Right.
Yes, definitely not woke.
So the first thing when I looked at what you wanted to have as your theme today, and I was like scrambling out the door to get to a meeting with the school district, I grabbed instead of my normal coffee carafe, whatever you call it, I grabbed the Holtav Block Party carafe, and I thought along the lines of what you wanted to talk about, which is stand up, speak out. It doesn't have to be sort of militant activism or anything like that, right? It can be standing up in the community and bringing people together. And
yes.
And I promised I wouldn't mention his last name.
Oh, I
My
did.
very, very close friend, Daniel, for a number of years now has been organizing and managing his Holtav community to put on these incredible block parties that bring people together. And this brings me back to when I lived in Queens, New York in the 1980s. There was tons of crime everywhere. And I participated in this this program, if you will. It was called Home Church, which basically is going out into the community, introducing neighbors to each other, not to promote a particular religion or ideology or anything like that, but to introduce neighbors who had been living next to each other for years or decades that had never met before, getting them involved with each other and creating this sort of like protective, shield around the community because people look out for each other and care about each other. And we would do events and potluck dinners, and what Daniel is doing, for the Holt Ave community is exactly that. So a couple hundred people come together for once in the summer, once in the winter. Probably the best Santa and Mrs. Santa that I've ever seen. Raises money for the mounted police. Hundreds of gifts, I think, are donated from around the community and given by Santa and Mrs. Santa to the kids that come to the event. And that's standing up and speaking out.
Yes.
Because that community is really, really tight.
It's about connecting.
I'm sure there's lots of things that were going on in the community even before that, and there's dozens of people that participate in bringing together food and volunteers and setting up tents and all that stuff. So it's really a wonderful thing. So that's all because I grabbed my Holt Ave coffee mug
I have one
this
of those.
morning and reminded me of what's going on over in Holt Ave. If you're not in Holt Ave, don't show up because there were some people who, unfortunately, this is kind of like the sour grapes part of it. A couple of politicians came over and came to the event who were not from Ward 6, in my opinion, expressly with the intention to attempt to get this shut down as a community, as a local community event by saying that we didn't screen people that shouldn't belong there from outside the ward. But besides that, incredible event.
Yes, and he leads the way with showing up to school board meetings and alderman meetings. And tonight is an alderman meeting, and we will be there. And I highly suggest taking your 3 minutes to speak up about what you feel needs to be improved in Manchester. There is something huge that we are going to be discussing, the $290 million bond for schools. And, I have a lot of questions about that.
Sure.
I think that it's so important to have everyone's opinion and everyone's there's how many experts, how many teachers, with the parents, how are we funding this? How are we spending the money is the most important thing, is how are we spending our money? Because that's a big problem. I know that there's a lot of wasteful spending, and I just think that we need to be smarter with how we spend our money, and we need a little more input by a lot of people. I mean, there's a Sheffield Road, there's a public hearing on that, I believe at 6 o'clock, and that's come out and voice your concerns about that becoming a one-way street. So I think that we should have a public hearing about the schools and the teachers and the parent bullying, things that are going on in the schools. I think it's like very important to talk about everything.
Sure. So may I?
Yes.
I can summarize, and you're talking about the $290 million bond for phase one of the long-term facilities plan. And we have a new superintendent. She's been doing a great job for about a year now, a little bit over a year, I think. And one of her projects has been to upgrade and modernize, the infrastructure of our schools, buildings, et cetera. And we hired back, I think in maybe March, February, March of this year, we hired SMMA, which is an architectural firm from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to put together a plan. The ticket price on that contract with SMMA was $1.5 million, and they began to visit, I think within a month or so, they visited every school in the district, all 21 of our schools, put together a number of analyses looking at buildings, environmental. I think there might have even been a sort of a health component, maybe not, but definitely an education component, and then presented back in August a 393-page report. So phase one only includes the middle schools and the construction of one elementary school and the purchase of new modular classrooms, which will be used during the construction and renovation of schools. And there's some controversy or some pushback, I would say, regarding that. I've received phone calls and emails from parents saying that our kids are just in fourth grade and they've been in modulars or they're in seventh grade, whatever. And why can't we just wait a year to do this construction so they at least have a year break in a normal classroom before we ask them to go into modulars? And then Hillside, where our kids attended, there's a soccer field that is down the hill from the school. We used it as a sledding hill. In the spring and in mud season, the field is all mud. In the wintertime, there's a big snowbank that gets pushed off onto that hill from plowing on the parking lot above it. So if kids are in there in the snowy months, how are they going to get back and forth? So there are a lot of questions that haven't been answered. And I know that the district is flexible and can, work as they go to resolve those sorts of questions and issues. I'm sorry that I'm continuing on about this. So that was only phase one, and it was voted on August 28th, and it passed let's say 11-1. I was the dissenting vote against the $306 million budget for phase one. That it didn't include phase two, which would be high schools and all that stuff, and that would come out just a week ago from this past Monday, with an additional $360 or $70 million. And I think that there were two members of the school board who were not there, which was Carlos Gonzalez and Dr. Nicole Leapley.
Oh, that's kind of like a shocker. Carlos wasn't there?
Yeah. So he wasn't there for that vote. So it was 11-1, and then 2 absent. So, needless to say, I was in the minority, and it passed. So, and then it needed to be pushed to the Board of Aldermen because of the price tag on it, and it is coming to that tonight, I think, right? In tonight's November 21st Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. It's item 20, as a matter of fact. If you go onto the city website, go onto the clerk, the departments, go to clerk, go to Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and look up the agendas. It's number 20 on tonight's agenda. So that's, I filed, after the meeting last Monday, I filed for reconsideration. It seems that consideration was ignored, and I don't know what the legal basis is for that, but it is on the agenda. My position is that it should not be on tonight's agenda, but it should be up for a discussion a week from yesterday in next week's school board meeting, based on the rule. I think it's number 2.03 or something like that on the school board rules as far as how to handle a reconsideration. In any case, you're going to be voting on that tonight. That's just phase one, which is $306 million. Actually, the bond that they're asking for is only $290 million, but that's just the principal on it. The total debt service to the city is about almost $200 million in interest over 25 years, with a total of about $500 million. And then when you consider phase two, which was presented to us by the district, by our superintendent, and SMMA, the architectural firm, it has a total debt service of about $1.1 billion. I think it's $1.095 billion with interest, including the interest. So anyway, it's something that the residents of Manchester should understand, and if they have anything to say about it, tonight, 7 o'clock, the first half an hour or so is open for public comment. You've got 3 minutes to say what you want to say.
3 minutes, and speak up. And, there's a lot of concerns for me.
No name calling, no calling out people by name. That's one of the rules.
Always be respectful. And to me, I'm like looking on what's the focus areas that are most important to you, it says on here. And there's a list. And they say their first focus is equity, access, and inclusion. But number 13 is STEM. Can you explain that?
Sure. So STEM and STEAM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. What you're looking at is the results of a survey that was taken during visioning sessions by the administration and the architectural firm.
So no teachers, no.
Well, there's actually, if you go into the school district,
teachers?
If you go into the school district website, all the way to the right side on the school district website, you'll see long-term facilities plan. If you click on that, you can actually look at the dashboard that was created by SMMA for this project. And you can watch the videos and read the transcript from the different visioning meetings, which is very helpful. And the one thing that stood out to me was that the one meeting that was outlined in the presentation, in the 393-page presentation by SMMA, was a meeting that included 39 attendees. It was an in-person. I think there were 2 in-person and 4 or 5 Zoom meetings, and I think it's on Vimeo somewhere, but you can find it on the city district, on the school district website. The meeting that was highlighted in the presentation had 39 attendees. 10 of them were members of the architectural firm, which is fine because they have different expertise. Some are education, some are health, some are environmental, some are construction, and I think that there was an additional representative from the construction company who's there as a consultant to the architectural firm, and school board members, school district employees, the superintendent, principal, a number of people. But I only noticed really 2 people on that list. One was a parent, one was a future parent. So in my opinion, it wasn't really a great representation. Now, there were other meetings that did include, seemed to have a better mix of people who have an interest in, a financial interest, in the success of this proposal, the approval of this bond, versus people who are in the community. Now, I lived in Queens, New York, for a long time, and it's the most genetically, racially, ethnically diverse place on planet Earth, and that's like a fact. I have friends from all over the globe, and I know that if people from Senegal and Nigeria and Ecuador and Peru and Ukraine and Bosnia were in those meetings, and maybe they were, I don't know, because it's hard to get a full list, but of who attended. STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, and STEAM, which is, they added art in there, right, to add a kind of a bit of a heart component to all of these very kind of hard analytical fields of study. That would have been one or two, right? It would have been one or two, because people who immigrate to this country are coming here for the obvious things: liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, but they want their kids to get out of high school and be able to compete at a college level to become doctors and engineers and business owners and educators and professors and things like that, right? So anyway, so that really stuck out to me, that STEM was number 13 on the list of priorities, which is, came from the survey of people attending these meetings. Let's see.
So it's not
Personalized learning plans, number 8. Career tech education, number 9. Next gen science standards, 15th. Mastery of core academics, number 2. And then equity, access, and inclusion is number 1. And it's a mindset, it's a philosophy, I think, but you can tell who attended these meetings, right, and what their priorities were.
And when it comes down to equity and things like that, I always refer back to my good friend Clarence Pastor Washington, and I highly recommend this Hijacked: How Dr. Martin Luther King's Dream Became a Nightmare, and how to recover from this. And because you were called a racist, I was called a racist, because we believe in our American values. And Dr. Martin Luther King. Anyways, ClarenceWashingtonAuthor.com it's a 4-book series. It's unbelievable. And equity.
Equity is important. When it becomes a political driver, I think it creates inequity, right? It depends on who's driving the bus, I guess, right?
So
if you look at your tagline, fuel your mind, body, and soul with goodness.
Yes.
Right. We got to love. We got to love each other. We got to bring people together.
Do not discriminate.
Right.
Be kind, loving.
Which includes people of all philosophical views, political views.
Vaccine, like I was discriminated against because I chose not to take the vaccine. And
people lose their jobs and all kinds of stuff. And that's like a whole other show.
Yeah. So I think there's just so much to everything, but I really think that you're doing a great job.
You're the best, Chrissy.
You're the best. And
are we getting a countdown here?
We're going to get a countdown. So I know we have to. I want to jump in and have Caitlin do her little chill girl special thing, and then we'll come right back to everyone has 3 minutes. And freedom of speech is so important, and educating ourselves and just understanding a little bit more on what we're really voting on.
Yeah.
So if we can check out Chill Girl Caitlin.
Hey guys, it's Chill Girl Caitlin, and I know some of you may be waking up, freaking out a little bit. You have a last minute pimple right before the holidays. we have the solution for you. 2 options. We have the breakout box. There's different patches in here. You can wear them under your makeup. You can wear them overnight. So whether it's an underground pimple that really hurts, whether your pores in your nose are just clogged and you need to help clear that out, or if you have a whitehead that you use, but also will help in emergency, age intervention duality. This is our go-to product for breakouts. You can use this daily all over the areas where you have breakouts, or you can just spot treat with it. So we have the options for you. Don't panic. Come and see us in the Chill Boutique or order online ahead.
She's back.
We are back, and we're going to circle back. We're going to circle back around to Ken in your real estate license and who you are.
Oh, well, how much time we got left?
2 minutes.
Okay.
We're kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, well, this is great.
I'm going to have you come back and chill again.
I think we should talk about your soap and your shampoo here.
No. We'll talk about that later.
So I've been doing real estate about 6 years. Who I am or what I do, right? Like who I am, dad, husband, child of God, a bit of an activist in a number of ways. And but for the past almost 7 years, I've been doing real estate and licensed in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Just closed my biggest transaction, a few $1,000,000 down in Cape Cod, about as far away as you can drive in Massachusetts, which is all the way out at Provincetown. And and I go all over the state.
And where can they find you?
Oh, Ken Tassey at kw.com, or you can call me at 978-886-0421 for anything, not for real estate. If you have questions about the school board, you want to become
politically
active, know what's going on in the state, that's great. And I can point you to resources. I'm not the smartest guy in the room.
But you are the kindest.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, so you've got my contact information. By all means, reach out. Chrissy does an incredible job with her show and has been an amazing part of the community for many years. I'm learning from people around her. She's got a great family.
Ken.
She's an incredible grandma. I see how she takes care of her granddaughters. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 of them.
And I know we have to wrap up.
Okay.
But we will have you back. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And I hope we see you at the Giddy Up Friday at Stark Brewery. And Ken, we'll see you again. And chill on and love and be kind. We love you. God bless you. God
Happy
bless
Thanksgiving,
America.
everybody.
Thank you.